Hello and welcome back to another RiftGuides WildRift video, and for today we are going to talk about the WildRift patch notes for 5.0a, so buckle up and let's hop straight into it. With this patch, the authors are telling us the following. February is a month to celebrate family, friends and dragons. Join us and celebrate how you want with a new champion, with a new event, and Arena. That's right, Arena is back, so sit down, grab a drink and welcome the patch 5.0a. First up, we have Talon, the Blade Shadow. Talon is the knife in the darkness, a merciless killer able to strike without warning and escape before any alarm is raised. He carved out a dangerous reputation on the brutal streets of Noxus, where he was forced to fight, kill and steal to survive. Adopted by the notorious Du Couteau family, well, nice, my French is not very amazing, let's say the least. He now piles up his deadly trade at the Empire's command, assassinating enemy leaders, captains, and heroes, as well as any Noxian foolish enough to earn the scorn of their masters. Talon will release on the 23rd of February. For the events, we have the Lunar Extravaganza, the Year of the Dragon. Happy Year of the Dragon. It's a big year for our boy Aurelion Sol, so be on the lookout for the Lunar Guardian event, where you can get the Lunar Guardian skin for him, completely free. With the Lunar Extravaganza event, we will also be giving out free chroma, so log in, play a game, and send red pockets to your friends for a chance to get some Poro energy or even a skin. The Lunar Extravaganza event begins on the 8th of February. And now we come to my personal favorite, the game mode, and here we have Arena. You asked for it and we delivered. Arena is back soon TM, and soon TM means Arena will be back on the 12th of February. Now let's move over to the heart of the patch, the champion changes. And first off, we have Garen. Baron laners these days have a variety of items to choose from depending on their lane matchup. This puts Garen in a tricky spot as he no longer has the early game pressure he used to exert. We're giving him a little boost in damage to make sure his sword stays sharpened. His first ability's damage is going up, and his third ability's damage is also going up. But here's the kicker. They're buffing the damage by 10 on his first ability on level 1, and you only put 1 point into this ability until the very late stages of the game, because you want the benefits of your third ability and your second ability over your first ability. So I'm curious, will this be enough? Because I think Garen had enough damage, and I think maybe the stats got really messed up due to the inting, I really don't know. But I didn't get the memo that Garen lacked damage so far. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you believe, if Garen lacked damage or anything like this, and let's move over to the next champion, Aurelion Sol. It's easy to make the wrong turn on Aurelion Sol, and you could say he's a little hard to drive, so we are going to optimize his maneuverability during astral flight so you can make sick plays while staying on track. I personally assume it has something to do with tapping your joystick during your second ability, because if you just slightly touched it in any direction, you would immediately cancel your second ability, and well, your second ability is donezo. And in case you didn't know, if you fly and use your first ability while flying, your first ability deals a lot more damage, so messing this one up actually impacts a fight heavily. So if this is the case, it's a very good change. The next change comes to Syndra. Syndra hasn't been able to show off her full prowess during the early game. We have tweaked some of her numbers so she can really shine. Her base stats go up from 530 health to 570 health, and her Dark Seer's damage also goes up by up to 15 and 10% ability power scaling. From my point of view, I really love the base health changes, but I personally think she had enough damage and maybe just needed less cooldowns. So maybe they could have taken away some of her damage because, yeah, well, I didn't think she lacked damage and gave her better cooldowns, as well as increasing her base stats. Because did you know, Yuumi on level 1 has 530 base health compared to a Syndra which has 540. So why is Yuumi so tanky, or why is Syndra so squishy? Pick your poison. Next up we got Zyra, and in all honesty, Zyra's nerf was very brutal when it comes to her plant's life, so they're adjusting this time. We're adjusting the health of Zyra's plants and buffering the damage to make sure she's impactful in the early game. It's never too early to start priming your garden. Garden are thorns. Health of Thorn Splitter goes up from 20 to 160 and 35 ability power to 20 to 272 plus 25% ability power. That makes her a lot stronger in the early game, and since Zyra doesn't really go for Rabadons in most of the games because the games end too soon, it isn't even a nerf which you might believe it is. The next change is just a 10 damage buff to Deadly Spines. Hey guys, do you remember the rework to Ziggs? Now let's talk about this for a second. Ziggs bombs aren't making the impact we had hoped, and these changes will ensure that he will be popping enemies and turrets alike. For this, they're changing the passive ability of his. Damage to turrets goes up from 15% to 24%, and the empowered damage of the bouncing bomb to a turret goes up from 20% to 32%. At the same time, they're buffing his first ability by granting it 5 more base damage, as well as lowering the cooldown by 1.5 seconds in the early game. That is a massive buff. In the distant past, Ziggs was a pick or ban champion in most of the pro play for years, and this change, or this rework, basically changed this. But with these buffs, he's now so much stronger than he was before, and I'm curious to see how much better he performs in the ranked environment. Next up, we have a change to Sivir. We've tweaked the damage ratio of Ricochet, so Sivir can perform well even from behind, while enemies are still able to find counterplay when she's ahead. So what did they do? They added base damage in combination with the percentage damage to the ricochet blades, which means that if Sivir is behind, as they said, they deal more damage than before, but if she's ahead, she deals slightly less damage. For you fisherman enjoyers, we have an adjustment to Fizz, because well, Fizz has been making a big splash, and these changes will let his opponents come up for air, especially in late game teamfights. Fizz's first ability gets a 5% ability power nerf, and Fizz's second ability, well, gets a juicy 5% ability nerf as well, but in all honesty, Fizz literally one-shots you, so does a 5% damage nerf really do anything to you when the Fizz literally 2-taps me in late game with just QW? I don't really think so. So I'm curious to see why this change was coming in this way and we're not tackling something else, because Fizz damage is quite insane in current WildRift. So I really don't know if this will be enough, but it's definitely a step into the right direction, because as soon as you put the label nerfed on a champion will be less picked because people believe a nerfed champion is automatically bad, rather than believing that a nerfed champion is just less good. But if there's something that is literally killing a champion, then we have to talk about the rat, El Raton in the Dragon Lane, Mr. Twitch. Like Fizz, Twitch has been running circles around his opponents, and these adjustments will ensure that he's not bulldozing through early and mid-game teamfights. His base stats are getting removed from 5880 to 54, and his attack damage per level goes down from 4.5 to 3.5, and if that wasn't enough, spray and pray bonus attack damage gained is reduced by 5. So Mr. Twitches casually loses more than half a BF sword in AD. This champion got absolutely slapped. Like, this champion should be dead, and on the European server this champion was dead already, and I don't really understand why this champion was even good on the Chinese server. I really don't, because this champion didn't do any damage. And we have a Yuumi change. Yes, your most hated champion. One of the champions some AD carries do love, and some junglers if they're on their team, because they can't really do anything wrong, and most of the other people just seriously despise this champion. Count me among them, I hate Yuumi. And now, let's talk about her. Your best friend in the Dragon Lane is getting some changes. With a new passive and some tweaks to her ratio, she'll be able to zoom faster and longer with her besties. She is getting a change to her passive. Yuumi's attacks and abilities against enemy champions grant her a shield, which also takes effect when Yuumi is attached. To make up for this mechanic becoming so much easier, the shield value is decreased in the sense of level scaling, and therefore made a lot weaker. Not only this, the cooldown is also being changed from being a decreasing cooldown per level to an 18 seconds at all levels cooldown. Another change we have is how Yuumi gives you adaptive power with a second ability. In the past, it was a very big portion of a percentage value, but now it gets a bigger flat value and a lower percentage value. What does this do to Yuumi? In the past, Yuumi players needed to detach to provide you with a shield, which in the laning phase was a very powerful thing to do, because Yuumi's base stats are horrendously high, and therefore she outtrades most of the champions in the Dragon Lane unless she faces brutal all-in and has a weaker AD carry on her hands. And with this, she basically doesn't have to do anything. You can just sit on somebody, AFK, do your laundry, do some cooking, do some relaxing, and still provide them with every single thing a Yuumi would provide you with when she had to do something by herself in a mechanical sense. So this champion is now truly the pinnacle of laziness and not doing anything. So if you want to enjoy playing with 2 devices at once, Yuumi is your perfect champion to do so now, because you literally can without doing anything. Next up comes some ARAM changes. You can take a look at them if you want to. I'll leave them here on the screen. You can pause if you want to. I'll just show them to you. And then we move right over to the arena changes. Hextech augments. Tank it or leave it. You can resist crit based on your crit rate, maximum 60%, receiving less damage by 40% while gaining crit rate. Crit rate is getting increased from 10% to 15%. Lightning Strikes. Gain bonus attack damage according to your own attack speed, gain 2 AD per 0.1 attack speed. This one is getting reduced from 2 to 1.5 AD. Now we talk over the thing that I can't really pronounce, so well, here you go, let me know in the comments below how you pronounce it again, because I will forget it again anyway. Champion Cameos will show up in the battlefield during round 2 and 7, and then again in every round after 7. Champion Ability Changes. Nasus, Siphoning Strike, passive stacks added per round from 25 to 30. Katarina, Bouncing Blade, cooldown change to 6 seconds and Preparation cooldown change to 4 seconds. Thrash, Damnation, passive stacks added per round from 3 to 5. Braum, Concussive Blows, passive cooldown changes from 8 seconds to 4 seconds. Gragas, the Impregnator, Body Slam, cooldown reduction from 3 seconds to 1.5 seconds when successfully hit enemies. And we've noticed that Gragas can continuously body slam enemies with the right hack stacks, leaving little room for counterplay. Now he'll need more augments to be able to do this, and we are keeping an eye on this and adjust it accordingly. Thank you, so I'm not constantly pinned against the wall and unable to play. Rengar Battle Roar. Health regeneration goes down from 60% to 50%. No more constant healing. Feels bad, man. And here's a list of champion base stat adjustments, and just take a look at it. Pause if you want to, and yeah, here are the buffs. Then here are the nerfs. And then we have a random Z. Yeah, okay, cool. And now last but surely not the least, we have item changes for the real ranked experience. Titanic Hydra. The range of the shockwave is increased from 500 to 550. Not a real big change, but yeah, we take everything we can get. Heartsteel. Colossal Consumption. Time for charging the huge strike is reduced from 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Again, it's not a massive impact in gameplay, just a very nice quality of life update for people to get an easier Heartsteel proc. Strategic Point. We are optimizing the trigger conditions of strategic points to make it more difficult to trigger. Thank you. I do not want to have a bounty suddenly and then the enemy gets 3 towers randomly and have double my gold out of nowhere. Comeback mechanics in this game need to be really monitored. They're really crazy. If you get into a comeback situation in WildRift and you play in any elo due to how the game works nowadays, you can basically come back at any point in time because of this comeback mechanic. It is really powerful, and I think it might be a tad too powerful, and this change is a good step into the right direction. Matchmaking optimization, my special one. We are increasing the weight of winning and losing games relative to other factors. Game outcome will be a more significant determinant for future matchmaking accuracy. This should optimize matchmaking mechanisms for edge cases. I will make a completely isolated video on this because in the post I want to make many things clear that the product lead of WildRift did on Twitter. I'll link it in the description below. But I will talk about this because it's very important that we are not getting absolutely scum-assed with what is said there. Because many things are, let's say, they look better or appear better than they actually are. But again, I do not want to be like, oh, you're not doing anything. I want to be more like, okay, it's a very cool step into the right directions. We got cheaters banned, we got account sharing a little bit more punished, we got this. It's all very good things, and we didn't have any update for the last 2 years outside of Joshua Menke making some posts on Twitter when he's not even actively working on WildRift anymore. So yeah, I'll talk about this. Anyways, here are the juicy skins, and yeah, Dragon Lantern Special Edition Giga 1 Billion Graves, Dragon Lantern Aatrox, Dragon Lantern Graves the normal version, Dragon Lantern Fresh, Dragon Lantern Zeri, Dragon Lantern Zyra, Prestige Dragon Lantern Aatrox, again a 5 billion skin, Sona skin, which I can't pronounce, Lovestruck Ezreal, Lovestruck Lux, High Noon Katarina, High Noon Leona, High Noon Samira, High Noon Talon, High Noon Twitch, and Prestige High Noon Lucian. That's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Leave a like in the comment section below. Leave a like, give this video the full watch time, make some juicy comments about anything you disagree with, you're like curious about, and maybe just drop some video ideas. Maybe look at the Chinese other YouTube channels I'm covering more recently, and think of something I should cover that you're interested in, and we'll get this started. Sorry again for not making a tier list for the last patch. I was just too dead in real life. So yeah, here we are back again. I'll work on a tier list today to give you at least an update for the Patreons, and then we'll release the bigger tier list or the real tier list a little bit later. I don't know which version comes first, the on-stream tier list or the simplified version, but don't worry, we'll be getting there. Anyways, see you soon for more WildRift content.